How you doing, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pokemon Showdown voice clips. I apologize if the audio is a little bit different this time. I am recording this while I'm at college, so the room is different, and there could be something of a din in the background from just other people in the dorm or in the, basically this entire hall. The acoustics in here are not exactly the greatest thing in the world, so if you hear anything, I apologize for that in advance. Today, though, I have a match against Richy Babes, which he had when he was doing a dual commentary recording session with Done Deal Showdown. I will leave both of their channels in the description. You probably know who they are if you're here for the Showdown stuff and you came here for the Showdown stuff originally, but I'll leave them there just in case. But without further ado, let's get this started. So I feel like we both played this match pretty well, so I'm going to start this match up on slow so that way I can do a little bit of breakdown in between the turns.
Ready, go!
Okay, so he starts off the battle with the Tropius, and obviously you can see that there's a different perspective here. I'm in the background on the right side of the screen there. Starts out with Tropius, I start out with Seviper, and he's just like, well, this is not a good situation for me, so I'm going to switch into Regigigas. So he switches out into his Regigigas, and I just go for a Sludge Wave. I'm just like, well, let's just do a damage check of some kind. Regigigas is definitely bulky, though, so I don't really want to have to deal with that with Seviper. I'd rather go into something that can not only deal with its hits, but also lower its attack, so that way if slow start starts up and it's a physical Regigigas in some way, I don't have to deal with that later. So he goes for the Icy Wind on the switch out to Luxray. That gets a speed drop, obviously, because Icy Wind will always do that. And I'm like, maybe he's a special set, maybe he's Specs. I'm not 100% sure yet. I don't think I ever find out exactly what its item is. But he switches out into Wigglytuff, and I just go for a Wild Charge just to do some damage check. And Wigglytuff takes that really, really well. I mean, it has a lot of HP, but its defenses aren't the greatest thing in the world. So I'm not 100% sure. This probably is a physically defensive Wish passing set of some kind. I felt like it would be better if I kept up offensive pressure here, so while he goes for the Wish, I just go for the Wild Charge to try to keep it from passing into anything else, potentially. So he just decides to stay in this case, to knock off. I got a crit last turn, so it's better for him to stay in and get the Wish out of this whole thing. So I go for a Wild Charge again, and then it gets the Wish, and it comes back up to 66% health after the leftovers, and this looks like it's going to be a little bit of a long battle and a little bit more stalling, but that is what this Luxray does best, so I'm not really too worried about that. So I go for another Wild Charge on the Wish. I'm like, okay, he's definitely going to protect on the next turn. I know exactly what I need to do on this next turn so that I can keep this whole stalling war up. So he goes for the Protect, and I'm like, I gotcha. I go for the Rest, and I'm like, now I'm back at full health, and you're going to be pretty much back at full health at the end of this whole thing, so we're pretty much right back where you started. Are you sure you still want to stay out? No, but yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that I could potentially stall this thing out without having to worry about the recoil too much. So he sees this is going to take a little while to do, so he goes out into Regigigas. I decided to switch out because I was like, this is going to take a while and I don't want to deal with that either. So I go into Seviper. I'm like, I don't really want to deal with this Regigigas at all. I'm not 100% sure what it's going to use. So I go in Octillery, try to hit it with something that just hits really damn hard. He goes for the Earth Power, and I don't know if I was really paying attention too much for that whole thing, but it'll come back later on in the battle, you'll see. So I go for a Hydro Pump. It does decent damage, but of course Regigigas is really bulky, so he goes for the Thunderbolt and just takes out Octillery. Would have been nice to keep it around for later, but it's not 100% crucial for this battle. So I go back into Seviper because I know that I can two-hit KO with a Sludge Wave. I wasn't sure if I'd live in Earth Power at this point, but I said, you know what, screw it, I'll just try it. And it turns out I actually do live in Earth Power, so I'm thinking maybe this thing was specially defensive. I'm not 100% sure on that part, or maybe it has some sort of investment, but either way, I could have two-hit KO'd it. So he switches out into Rapidash, so that way it can take it, because this thing's also specially defensive. So it takes that pretty well, because Seviper has decent special attack despite the fact that it's running a Scarf rather than Specs in this case. So I'm like, okay, I need to go into something that can just wall this thing all day. Spritzy with Eviolite is a full stop to this Rapidash. I can't really do anything to it, but it can't really do anything back, and I can set up some Calm Minds and eventually take it down with a Moonblast that way. And I can cure the burn with Aromatherapy and wish off the damage, so I'm not really too worried about that. So he goes out into Wigglytuff, probably just to scout what I'm going to do and maybe to knock off the Eviolite, since it's shown that already. I just go for a Wish because I'm like, well, you know what, it doesn't really matter too much at this point what ends up happening. I can pass it to something if I want, but it turns out I really don't want anything else to lose the item, and Spritzy can still take special hits pretty well even without Eviolite. So I just choose to go for an Aromatherapy, get the wish back, and get the burn off of me that way. So he goes for the knockoff, knocks off my Eviolite. You know, not the greatest thing in the world, but not a bad thing necessarily either. So I figure, you know what, I'll start going for Calm Minds just to see what he's going to do. He goes for a Wish, probably thinking that maybe he could switch into something if I attacked or if I did something like that. Switches into his Relicanth, and I'm like, oh, good lord. And I just went for another Calm Mind. There wasn't really much of a reason not to. I probably could have just Moonblasted and done some decent damage, but I was just like, yeah, there's no reason not to Calm Mind at this point. I don't know what he's going to do. So he goes into Relicanth, and I'm like, this thing's a threat, I need to lower its attack. So I go into Luxray thinking, I could take a Head Smash all day. Nope, 50%, 52% on the hit there. I'm like, okay, I need to lower its attack further. Surely after -2 attack, even with the ban, Krokorok here can take the attack, can't it? So then the Relicanth goes for Head Smash again. Nope, 57% this time too. So I'm like, oh, shit, well, might as well leave it in, get the damage in while I can, and maybe I can KO with Luxray after this, dropping its attack again. So I go for an Earthquake. He misses the Head Smash. This is very important. This was a crucial miss right there, because Krokorok is going to turn out to be really useful in this battle, as you'll see later. So he's fearing an Earthquake again. I just go for it, and I just go for another one. He goes out into Tropius to make sure that he doesn't have to take it. He probably anticipated a switch there because I was fearing the Grass move. I wanted to get rid of its Citrus Berry no matter what. I was playing very dangerously with Krokorok here. So he goes for a Leech Seed, again, probably anticipating a switch. I knocked off the Citrus Berry, so that won't be a problem anymore. I figured this thing was defensive because most people run defensive with Harvest on Tropius. I guess I'm the exception to the rule, I don't know. But I go into Luxray because I'm not really 100% sure what he's going to do with it. And I know I can probably wall the hits with Luxray, even though Luxray is not a special wall. Goes for another Leech Seed, misses. It's not too big of a deal because I'm probably going to switch out after this anyway. So he goes back into Wigglytuff, and this, of course, is a pretty good stop to Luxray. I reveal that I have Ice Fang on this thing. I get the Freeze. This seems to be a recurring trend because I keep getting freezes with these random ass moves that shouldn't be getting all these freezes. So I'm like, okay, this is too much hacks. I'm gonna get you out of there. So I send in Seviper. I'm like, okay, Seviper has a Scarf. It has Flamethrower. If he thaws out now, Seviper dies, whatever. If he doesn't thaw out, I get him out next turn. Wigglytuff definitely does not die from a Flamethrower, and then he's out and he can do whatever he wants. So I go over the Flamethrower and thaw him out for it, and then he goes for the Wish so that way he can get a little bit of health back, and I guess that was nice of me, but I hate freeze hacks. I hate it when I hit them. I hate it when other people get them, and it's just dumb, and I hate it. So I just got him out of there. I figure, okay, I'll go into Spritzy just so that way he doesn't knock off my Scarf, because I kind of need it, and I kind of want Seviper around just in case I have to revenge kill something like Regigigas when it comes in. He goes out into Rapidash to get a little bit of health back from the Wish, because I think Wigglytuff was at decent health, so it wouldn't have necessarily needed it. Although Rapidash probably has Morning Sun. Maybe he should have just gone straight into Relicanth, honestly, because now he goes into Relicanth, and I go for the Wish, and I'm just like, well, you know what, I might as well, just so that I can get something, a little bit of health back. So I go out of Spritzy, I'm like, okay, I'm going to, sack Krokorok and just get an attack drop so that way I can go with Luxray and kill it. Misses another Head Smash. And that is also very important because that means I get my Wish back and Krokorok goes back up to the point where if this thing is at -2 attack, I can live a Head Smash from it fairly well. So he goes into Tropius. I'm like, okay, well, I know he's going to go into Tropius, so I predict that and go for a Stone Edge. Get a good amount of damage on it, but now I am fearing the Grass-type move because I'm at 69% and I don't want to die to something like that. So I'm hoping that he doesn't Leech Seed on the switch. I figured I'd just send out my own Tropius so that way I can do something to it. He switches out, probably anticipating some sort of switch, maybe into Seviper or something like that, into Regigigas. Actually, no, maybe that was just his fodder, but I end up KOing it with a Leaf Blade anyway to show off that I'm a physical attacking set with speed investment. I think I'm Adamant on this Tropius, though, so that way I can... No, maybe it's Jelly. I don't know. He sends in his own Tropius thinking, he can probably do some stuff. I see this as the perfect opportunity to set my Tropius up for some knockouts here. It's pretty good. So he goes for Synthesis, possibly anticipating a switch, possibly just to stall out power points. I'm not really 100% sure. I'm like, I'm going to Dragon Dance one more time just to make sure I can knock this thing out. Goes for Toxic, puts me on a timer. I'm like, I'm not even scared of this. I'm just going to start going for it. And then this happens. Tropius gets hurt by poison a little bit, and then I go for the Natural Gift. Natural Gift with Lancet Berry is an 80 power flying type stab move. So I have 120 base power on a physical attack. After 2 Dragon Dances, that's going to hurt a hell of a lot. And I harvest my Lancet Berry the next turn. That was also very helpful because then he goes into Giraffe Rig. I only have a grass type stab on this otherwise, other than Natural Gift, and that would have activated Giraffe Rig Sap Sipper. But I have the Lancet Berry, so I can go for a Natural Gift again, and clean one-hit KOs that Giraffe Rig, and I get the Lancet Berry back again. So Offensive natural gift Tropius doing some work, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. I just go for a Leaf Blade here because I'm like, well, that's going to get the most power off. I know it's not going to want to KO because I've already seen that this Wigglytuff is invested physically somehow, or it's just got a lot of HP. So he knocks off my Lancet Berry, cripples my natural gift a little bit, and I'm like, I might as well just go for a Leaf Blade. Tropius has done enough work in this battle. It KO'd half of his team. So I'll just go for... I could have roosted there, and then I could have had another turn to actually KO this Wigglytuff as well. But I mean, Tropius got 3 knockouts in this battle. You can't really ask for much more than that, especially on a set like this that's kind of gimmicky. So I'm like, okay, I'll go into Seviper. I know I can definitely revenge kill this thing with a Sludge Wave, and I do just that because I'm Scarfed, so I can definitely go ahead and outspeed and knock it out. So now Wigglytuff's down. That's actually a big threat out of the way. That thing was bulky as hell, and I didn't want to have to deal with it. So he goes into Rapidash just to take the special hits, really. I probably could have stayed in with Seviper. Let me think about that. Maybe I could have, but I figure, you know what, I'll just go into Spritzee just in case of the Will-O-Wisp or something like that. He was anticipating a switch, but now that Spritzee's burned, he knows I can just aromatherapy that away if I want to. So he goes for the Flamethrower just for damage check, and Spritzee takes nothing from this Flamethrower, considering I'm off my Eviolite, and just get rid of the burn with the aromatherapy. And Spritzee, man, so good as a special wall in PU. Try it out if you haven't. It's a really good special wall. So he goes into Relicanth. I could have Moonblasted here and knocked this thing out, but I figured, you know what, I'll try to switch into something just in case of something happening. So I switch into Luxray, and then he switches out into Rapidash. I think all he's got left are Rapidash and Relicanth at this point. So I predict the switch and say, you know what, I've probably got him in checkmate as long as I switch into Croc because I know I can live a Head Smash if he stays in, and then I can KO with Earthquake. But he goes into Rapidash, and I've got him in checkmate at this point anyway, because Croc's faster than both of his guys. So I go for the Earthquake, and I KO the Rapidash clean in one hit. Thank you, Life Orb, for that damage. With Eviolite, I probably wouldn't have one-hit KO'd it, even though it's weak to it. And then I go for the Earthquake again and knock out this Relicanth. So that was a great battle, Richie. We both played really well, I think. But Natural Gift Tropius, man. He was saying on Twitter that was the highlight of the battle. It was the highlight of my day. I swear to God, that thing is... It never does anything in the battle, so to see it do that much work in a battle, it's so satisfying, and I'm so thankful that it did something. But yes, GG to Dunn and to Richie. You guys both played well. I guess I just had my thinking cap on that day or something like that. I don't know. Either way, I would definitely be open to having another battle, and I don't know. I'm going to try to do some other stuff besides PU at this point. I think the new server with DDT is open. It just opened up today. So I might try to do some of that for the next battle next week, but we'll see on that. I'm not 100% sure yet. These are being recorded well in advance, so that way I have them ready and waiting for everybody when the time comes. But yeah, that's going to be all for today's battle. Hope you guys enjoyed it. GG to Richie and Don again. And thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. Excuse me.